Ek bid dat hulle afgevee word daar. Ag Here, dat ek hulle nooit weer sien nie.
An angry resident of the Richtersveld, scene of one of the biggest land claims in South African history, and now possibly the most controversial one too, with some Richtersvelders at each other's throats. The state fenced off the diamond mines of the Richtersveld in the far northern Cape in 1927. So when the local community won its land back 80 years later, the Richtersveld became the poster boy of the dispossessed, carrying with it the promise of a new and better life.
Ek het baie gelukkig gevoel. Ons het die grond gewen. Dis nou ons. Ek was baie tevrede daarmee.
73-year-old Katrina Lowe is one of over 200 poor subsistence farmers in this remote part of the northwestern Cape. The community's sudden access to significant wealth was a windfall.
Ons het nou gekry plase, diere. Ons het die implemente gekry.
To a subsistence farmer, it was heaven. Samuel Kluter has worked on the farms for 40 years.
When you first came here, what were these farms like?
Soos 'n paradys. Die vrugteborde, die groente landery, die voer vir die beeste, die skape, die perde, die hoenders, alles was hier. Baie.
You can hardly tell, but this farm was once teeming with life. There was everything here from cattle to pigs to ostriches. There was an abattoir here, a tannery here. For the people who had worked all their lives on farms like this, to be told this was now theirs, it was a dream come true.
The Richtersvelders were awarded more than farms. It was serious wealth. 190 million rand, a share in the Richtersveld National Park, a 49% share in the state-owned ؐAi-ŞAis diamond mine, dependent on the transfer of mining rights, the 5 working farms belonging to SA, a 50 million development fund, 45 million for housing, and the diamond mining town of Alexander Bay. Diamonds, this land is full of them, and they seem to be the obstacle standing in the way of the dreams of many Richtersvelders. Although the courts and government were clearly thinking of food security and farming when the award was made.
We're providing funds and we'll work with the community to develop the agriculture.
What did you expect to happen?
Ek het verwag dat ek 'n beter lewe sal hê. Nou ons grond gekry het, met alles wat daarmee gepaard gaan.
Who made the promises?
Die CPA, die leiers wat ons gekies het vir ons beloof.
In awarding the land claim, the courts made provision for the establishment of the Richtersveld Communal Property Association, or CPA, under which all the recipients of the award would be registered, with a number of investment companies intended to earn income for the trust. On paper, all looked promising.
They have to establish trusts and companies in order to take ownership of those assets.
But in stark contrast to the words of then Minister Alec Irwin, the man elected to lead the CPA and the Richtersveld out of poverty seemed to have other ideas, and what was produced on the farms wasn't part of his plan for the trust.
We say we make a loss from the start. 15 million will not be enough to recapitalize the farm. Our business plan say that we must get rid of all the cows and the ostriches.
With all the farms apparently inefficiently run and unprofitable, Diergaard sought help. He found it in the form of 4th-generation Free State farmer Yolandi Pretorius.
I was shocked. I found a lot of dairy cows dying of hunger. I found farms looking almost like they're looking now. Lucerne fields, brown, haven't been watered for a couple of months. Pumps not working, tractors not serviced.
Pretorius has impressive credentials. She's farmed for 25 years and works as an agricultural consultant in Southern Africa.
Sy het dus gemotiveer ons het aangegaan. Soms skielik was dit groen. Binne 3 weke toe was dit groen hier op die plek.
En raai wat Jolandi geplant het, kan jy sien is eerste graad lucerne.
But despite rapid improvements in just 2 months, Pretorius's contract was abruptly ended.
Willem Diergaard said he didn't want me to sit longer in the Richtersveld.
The relationship soured, while Pretorius found conditions ideal for ostriches, citrus and dairy. ŒiRHAat said the farms seen here under earlier management were unsustainable.
But you must feed the cows, and you haven't got feed on the farm themselves.
On my third day, I opened the fodder mixing unit, and inside I found enough maize and concentrate, everything to mix 20 tons of full feed. But it wasn't used, and the cows were dying, and the SPCA closed the dairy.
ÉiRHAat, meanwhile, appointed another consultant, this time based in Somerset West and without any experience of commercial agriculture.
On the 8th of October, a certain Dr. Henry Wiggins introduced himself to me and said he was in charge of the EXCO. The EXCO is the 3-person body that was supposed to do the day-to-day management of the farm. And Wiggins told me that the dairy wasn't viable, so they decided to close it down. The ostrich farming wasn't viable, so that must be closed down. The oysters were to be sold because it was not a viable farming unit.
Wiggins produced a document that became known as the Wiggins Report, in which he agreed with ÉiRHAat that farming operations were unsustainable and that most of the staff should be laid off. But the manager who handed the farms over to the trust says the farms were indeed sustainable.
Die plaas was baie goed. Ek sal nie sê excellent nie, maar dit was goed. Alles was in plek, alles was op datum. Daar was geen iets wat nalatig was nie. Alle permits was in orde. Alles was in plek soos moet wees.
A view supported by this document from the university agribusiness team that originally advised government on the land claim. When we contacted Dr. Wiggins, he admitted he has no agricultural experience, but said his focus was on management and working with black economic empowerment companies, but he didn't want to be interviewed. ÉiRHAat had meanwhile appointed another consultant as director of the farm, this time an insolvency practitioner specializing in rural estates.
The community elected 4 directors for the agricultural company. ÉiRHAat refused to appoint them. Instead, he went on and appointed Mr. Kachelhofer, an insolvency practitioner from Worcester.
Gerry Kachelhofer is an attorney who focuses on liquidating rural estates. He agreed the farming practices were unsustainable but admitted he had no agricultural experience.
I'm not a farmer myself, but I was told there are consultants. It's just to take simple, straightforward business decisions.
One of those decisions was to retrench people like Samuel Klute, which is a bit ironic considering the original intention of the land claim award.
So what work do you do now?
Hulle het ons afgelos.
Local residents like Katrina believe ÉiRHAat and some of his colleagues on the CPA committee have abused their positions and that they're responsible for the plight of the trust beneficiaries, whom she calls the poor millionaires.
Willem ÉiRHAat en sy trawante, die komitee, ek blame vir hulle.
But ÉiRHAat denies wrongdoing, saying he can't please everyone.
To hold 2,700 people happy, it's an enormous duty.
While the farming seems to have failed under his chairmanship, ÉiRHAat prides himself on his business acumen.
Yeah, I've got my own business. I'm in the mining business.
With what?
No, I haven't got. I'm
Director of the Richtersveld mining company and also of his own operation, Precious Prospect. ÉiRHAat is indeed deeply involved in mining, and this leads Richtersvelders to presume that while they're eking out a living, ÉiRHAat is growing his wealth. He has had a position of influence on all the companies owned by the community, but they haven't seen audited financial statements since 2008.
Are your books audited?
Yes, every year.
Can you show us some of your financials?
I haven't got the other financials, but I can show you. They've got last year financials every.
We arranged to collect them the next day.
Yeah, no problem.
However, neither Willem nor the audited reports were at the office. His secretary handed us the annual report instead. We're still waiting to see the audited versions, especially for the Richtersveld mining company, which ÉiRHAat says is already earning money from the contractors who mine the diamonds.
So how much percent are you getting?
5%.
And where does that money go?
It goes to the Richtersveld mining company, and 1% of the 5% is going to the CPA. For admin costs and so on.
What are we talking about if it's a small amount? I mean, in the region of?
In the region of 100 and 150,000 every month.
How much of that has been redistributed to the community?
No, it's not distributed yet. because there's not a profit from the mining company themselves.
So no profit from anything, not the diamond mines, the proceeds from the sale of the livestock and farming machinery, or the 21 million rand that was borrowed from government when they ran out of money.
What happened to the loan of 21 million rand?
The loan of 21 million is in the farm. We must pay some salary, we must pay some electricity, we must pay some water, we must feed the cows, we must feed the ostriches.
With all this talk of the trust's vanishing millions, Katrina Lowe's picture is somewhat sobering.
Have you yourself ever received anything from the land claim, from the settlement?
Ons het een keer 1500 van die hoeveel miljoen gekry en dis ook op 'n eind.
So angry were community members about the state of the trust's finances and alleged nepotism that they voted Diergaard off the CPA committee last year. When his supporters joined him on stage, chaos ensued. And with no clear answers, rumours abound as to why the farms have been abandoned.
Kyk, hulle sê 'n hoorstorie is 'n kantoorstorie. Oral waar ek loop, hoor ek daai storie, hulle wil diamante produseer hierso. Of dit waar is, weet ek nie, dis wat ek gehoor het. Ek praat nou uit ander mense se tong uit.
A few weeks ago, Willem Diergaard was instructed by the High Court to stand down as chairman of the CPA committee. Anyway, he says he has plans to retire soon.
You've made enough money to comfortably retire at 46.
No, that was my goal. 45, I will retire.
And he's adamant that he's done his best.
Yes, I do what I can do. I can't do more as what I can do.
He must show me what is his best. He must show me what is his best. But I see nothing. I see nothing. Darkness, yes.